An ampersand is a logogram ampersand representing the conjunction word, and. This symbol is a ligature of the letters A, Latin for, and. Etymology: the word ampersand is a corruption of the phrase, and per se and, meaning, and intrinsically and. Traditionally, when reciting the alphabet in English-speaking schools, any letter that could also be used as a word in itself was preceded by the Latin expression per se. It was also common practice to add the ampersand sign at the end of the alphabet as if it were the 27th letter, pronounced and. As a result, the recitation of the alphabet would end in X, Y, Z, and per se and. This last phrase was routinely slurred to ampersand, and the term had entered common English usage by 1837. However, in contrast to the 26 letters, the ampersand does not represent a speech sound although other characters that were dropped from the English alphabet, such as the Old English thorn, did. Through popular etymology, it has been falsely claimed that Andrew copyright Marie Amperie used the symbol in his widely read publications and that people began calling the new shape Amperies and. History. The ampersand can be traced back to the 1st century AD and the Old Roman cursive, in which the letters E and T occasionally were written together to form a ligature. In the later and more flowing New Roman cursive, ligatures of all kinds were extremely common. Figures 2 and 3 from the middle of 4th century are both examples of how the A ligature could look in this script. However, during the following development of the Latin script that led up to the Carolingian minuscule, while the use of ligatures in general diminished, the A ligature continued to be used and gradually became more stylized and less revealing of its origin. The modern italic type ampersand is a kind of A ligature that goes back to the cursive scripts developed during the Renaissance. After the advent of printing in Europe in 1455, printers made extensive use of both the italic and Roman ampersands. Since the ampersand's roots go back to Roman times, many languages that use a variation of the Latin alphabet make use of it. The ampersand often appeared as a letter at the end of the Latin alphabet, as for example in Bichtfried de Grier's list of letters from 1011. Similarly, and was regarded as the 27th letter of the English alphabet, as used by children. An example may be seen in M. B. Moore's 1863 book The Dixie Primer, for the Little Folks. In her 1859 novel Adam Bede, George Eliot refers to this when she makes Jacob's story say, he thought it, Z, had only been put to finish off th alphabet-like. Though ampersand would hard done as well, for what he could see. The ampersand should not be confused with the Tironian A, which is a symbol similar to the numeral 7. Both symbols have their roots in the classical antiquity, and both signs were used up through the Middle Ages as a representation for the Latin word A. However, while the ampersand was in origin a common ligature in the everyday script, the Tironian A was part of a highly specialized stenographic shorthand. Writing the ampersand. In everyday handwriting, the ampersand is sometimes simplified in design as a large lowercase epsilon or a numeral 3 superimposed by a vertical line. The ampersand is also often shown as an E or a 3 with a vertical line above and below it or a dot above and below it. The plus sign is often informally used in place of an ampersand, sometimes with an added loop and resembling E. Usage, in film credits for stories, screenplays, etc., and indicates a closer collaboration than and. The ampersand is used by the Writers Guild of America to denote two writers collaborating on a specific script, rather than one writer rewriting another's work. In screenplays, two authors joined with and collaborated on the script, while two authors joined with and worked on the script at different times and may not have consulted each other at all. In the latter case, they both contributed enough significant material to the screenplay to receive credit but did not work together. In APA style, the ampersand is used when citing sources in text such as. In the list of references, an ampersand precedes the last author's name when there is more than one author. The phrase etc., usually written as etc., can be abbreviated and C representing the combination A plus C, etc. The ampersand can be used to indicate that the and in a listed item is a part of the item's name and not a separator. Computing, encoding and display, the character in Unicode is U+0026 and ampersand. This is inherited from the same value in ASCII. Apart from this, Unicode also has the following variants: U plus FE60I to the first small ampersand, U plus FF0601 quarter full width ampersand, U plus 214BA turned ampersand, U plus 1 Fahrenheit 670 the unregistered trademark degree script ligature A ornament, U plus 1 F671 the unregistered trademark plus or minus heavy script ligature A ornament, U plus 1 F672 the unregistered trademark squared ligature open A ornament, U plus 1 F673 the unregistered trademark cubed heavy ligature open A ornament, U plus 1 F674 the unregistered trademark heavy ampersand ornament, U plus 1 F675 the unregistered trademark micron swash ampersand ornament. The last 6 of these are carryovers from the Wingdings fonts and are meant only for backward compatibility with those fonts. On the QWERTY keyboard layout, the ampersand is a section shift +7. It is almost always available on keyboard layouts, sometimes on a section shift +6 or a section shift +8. On the AZERTY keyboard layout, it is just AND. In URLs, the ampersand must be replaced by %26 when representing a string character to avoid interpretation as a URL syntax character. Programming languages. In the 20th century, following the development of formal logic, the ampersand became a commonly used logical notation for the binary operator or sentential connective AND. This usage was adopted in computing. Many languages with syntax derived from C, including C++, Perl, and more differentiate between, and for bitewise AND. Is 0, is 4. For short-circuit logical AND. Is true. In C, C++, and Go, a prefix ampersand is a unary operator denoting the address in memory of the argument, for example and X, and func, and A, 3. In C++ and PHP, unary prefix and before a formal parameter of a function denotes pass by reference. In Fortran, the ampersand forces the compiler to treat 2 lines as one. This is accomplished by placing an ampersand at the end of the first line and at the beginning of the second line. In Common Lisp, the ampersand is the prefix for lambda list keywords. Ampersand is the string concatenation operator in many basic dialects, AppleScript, Lingo, HyperTalk, and FileMaker. In Ada it applies to all one-dimensional arrays, not just strings. Basic Plus on the DECP DP11 uses the ampersand as a short form of the verb print. AppleSoft Basic used the ampersand as an internal command, not intended to be used for general programming, that invoked a machine language program in the computer's ROM. In some versions of Basic, unary suffix and denotes a variable is of type long, or 32 bits in length. The ampersand is occasionally used as a prefix to denote a hexadecimal number, such as AND-FF for decimal 255, for instance in BBC Basic. Some other languages, such as the monitor built into RAM on the Commodore 128, used it to indicate octal instead, a convention that spread throughout the Commodore community and is now used in the VICE emulator. In MySQL the ampersand has dual roles. As well as a logical AND, it additionally serves as the bitewise operator of an intersection between elements. The ampersand character is used as a special character in at least some versions of the database software originally created in Denmark under the name Navision. Using this character in either text or code fields could create difficulties for performing certain tasks in Navision, such as filtering records. It is also used as described below to indicate shortcuts in menu items and labels. Perl uses the ampersand as a sigil to refer to subroutines. In Perl 4 and earlier, it was effectively required to call user-defined subroutines. In Perl 5, it can still be used to modify the way user-defined subroutines are called. In Perl 6, the ampersand sigil is only used when referring to a subroutine as an object, never when calling it. Text markup. In SGML, XML, and HTML, the ampersand is used to introduce an SGML entity. The HTML and XML encoding for the ampersand character is the entity and amp. This creates what is known as the ampersand problem. For instance, when putting URLs or other material containing ampersands into XML format files such as RSS files, the N must be replaced with AND. Or they are considered not well formed and computers will be unable to read the files correctly. SGML derived the use from IBM Generalized Markup Language, which was one of many IBM mainframe languages to use the ampersand to signal a text substitution, eventually going back to System/360 macroassembly language. In the plain text markup language, the ampersand is used to mark tab stops. The ampersand itself can be applied in text with \. And the computer modern fonts replace it with an ET symbol in the CMTI, text italic, fonts, so it can be entered as \it and in running text when using the default fonts. In Microsoft Windows menus, labels and other captions, the ampersand is used to denote the keyboard shortcut for that option. A double ampersand is needed in order to display a real ampersand. This convention originated in the first Win32 AP, and is used in Windows forms, and is also copied into many other toolkits on multiple operating systems. Unix shells. Some Unix shells use the ampersand as a meta character. Some Unix shells, like the POSIX standard shell, use the ampersand to execute a process in the background and to duplicate file descriptors. In Bash, the ampersand can separate words, control the command history, duplicate file descriptors, perform logical operations, control jobs, and participate in regular expressions. Web standards. The generic URL syntax allows for a query string to be appended to a file name in a web address so that additional information can be passed to a script. The question mark, or query mark, A, is used to indicate the start of a query string. A query string is usually made up of a number of different name-value pairs, each separated by the ampersand symbol, and. For example, www.example.com/ login.php username test password blank. But see also ampersands in URI attribute values. See also, and, chi, Deronian notes, references. External links, the hot word at dictionary.com, how ampersand came from a misunderstanding, ask the editor, ampersand, video at merriam-webster.com. Retrieved October 18, 2013.